Thank you, Lukáš, for introduction. And my name is František Zadražil, and my task today is to present something what is called Hub4Everybody. As you can see, we say that it's open source framework for spatial knowledge sharing. That's probably not pretty self-explanatory. So what is Hub4Everybody, and why have we come with it at all? Well, the need actually for such a solution actually came from inside of our organization, because many projects we have been cooperating on have produced many datasets over the time. So we needed some way to quickly and easily share the data and results with our colleagues or our partners in the projects. And from my own experience, the usual mechanism of such tasks is that there is some GIS specialist, someone who knows how to deal with the data, who will take the data from you and converts them into map service, into web service, or better, he or she will create a map application so you can see your map in the web browser. Even worse scenario is in some organizations still that there is some network shared folder where everyone puts their data and other users will download those data, create their own copies. So each user ends up with his own version of the data, and there is a mess in it. So that's obviously not what we wanted. We wanted a simple tool, so not only a few specialists or one specialist is able to do the publishing, but we wanted to anyone be able to do it. For sure, there are some expensive enterprise solutions for that, but we always prefer solutions that are affordable and open. Over the years, we have been developing several so-called digital innovation hubs, often as a part of some projects, and this gave us the chance to work on the tools we needed. So we have gathered the know-how and existing solitaire tools, and we have started to forge those into a complex and powerful data management workflow, which is solely based on open source products and on products that we have been developing either completely or where we are contributing on the development. And so the solution we have come up with is called Hub4Everybody. It's a web portal complex solution for publishing geodata or spatial data, as you will, in the form of some standardized map services. It's a solution for creating composite maps or thematic maps, and it's a solution for sharing all of those data with others. I've prepared schematic images of the solution or of the workflow of your data through it. So the workflow starts with your data in common formats like S3 shapefile, GeoJSON files, or even raster images. So you have some raw spatial data. For example, you are a researcher who needs to publish the outcomes of your research. You are a student who needs to publish the results of student works, or you are a local government administrative who is producing some data needed for decision making or maintenance. You are some association or organization that is dealing with environment, so you can produce data sets like water bodies, rivers, protected areas, etc. And Hub4Everybody ecosystem offers you two applications to work with those data or to publish those data. The first one is a web-based application, which is based on HSLer's framework. So you can imagine it as a simple web application. You can run in your browser, or you can use QGIS desktop application. If you are not familiar with QGIS, it's probably the most popular and widely used geographic information system all over the world. So once you have such data, you can then use web or desktop application to publish those data in the form of web map services. And those are not just some services we have invented. Those services are standardized by the Open Geospatial Consortium and are described or called as Web Map Services, WMS, Web Feature Service, or WFS. And recently we have adopted or implemented also the support for time-aware or dimensional web map service. So you can actually have a map service which is changing in time. And because we are dealing with spatial data, of course, we need to produce metadata for those data as well. And that's why we integrated the MITSCA metadata catalog into our solution. So you take your data, no matter if you use the web app or QGIS app, and you publish those data as a service. And once you published your data sets, as I said, for example, water bodies, rivers, protected areas, etc., anything you want, you can take those and compose a thematic map from them. So you can see on this image that I have multiple layers, and those layers are composed into one single thematic map. Or you can even combine your data with other map services. So you can take your data and take satellite images as a base layer of your map composition, for example. Or you can use some services provided by national providers like cadastral services, parcels, etc. Hub4Everybody contains something that we call data catalog. So that's the place where all your data sets and maps will be available. So when you publish your data or compose a map, all of those will be accessible through data catalog. But of course, it depends on you to whom you will make it accessible. And there is one more step you can do at the end, because for most of the users, the most understandable presentation of the data will be probably not some map service or even a map alone, but it can be really useful to present the map in some context. So that is when the content management system comes into play, because Hub4Everybody is mostly a web portal. So it's a portal where you can create web pages. The difference is that Hub4Everybody is map oriented, but it is still a web portal. So the basic thing you can do with it is to create web pages or web content in general. But if you create a web page, you can closely integrate maps you have created in previous steps in the web pages. So you can put the map along with some descriptions, legends, videos even. You can make a so-called story map, which is popular these days, which displays the map in the context of some stories. You could make a web page about rivers in Argentina, for example, and support it with the interactive map of the rivers. But that's probably enough for the theory in the beginning, and I would like to show you how it's actually done. So let me switch to my web browser. And on the address hub4everybody.com, you can find this web portal I've been talking about. So you can see that it's some web page. You have a navigation where some research has already been published. there is a nice page about the technologies which the portal is built on. There is, of course, some forum. There is a blog where you can publish some articles. But most importantly, there is map. If I open it, you can see that it's nothing more than some basic or clear map where only base map layer is present. So you can imagine this like an empty canvas where you can compose your map. And there is a few ways how to add data to the map. I'll show you all of those. You can see in this tool that I have 3 basic options how to add data to the map. The first one is data catalog. I've already mentioned that there is something like data catalog. So in this list of layers or data sets, you will see all the data you have already published or all the data that someone else has published and shared with you. So for example, I guess there is some data set which displays the boundaries of all the countries. And you can see that if I click on the data set, I can add it to the map, or I can display metadata about the layer. Let's add it to the map, and I can select the format in which I want to select WMS. And you can see that I have a layer in the map of the boundaries of all countries all over the world. I wanted to show you one more thing, so let me remove the layer again and try to add it one more time, but this time as WFS service. The difference between those two is that the first one only returns images. The second one returns the features, the polygons, if you will. So if I add this one, you can see that I have not some gray polygons in the map, but I have separate featured polygons. And what is the advantage of this? That I can even change the symbology of it. I can change how it looks in the map. So I can, for example, pick a different color for the borders, or I can pick some different color for the fill, and I can make it transparent. So that's basically one way how to add data to the map. The other option is to use some external service. So some national provider, for example, publishes a service with some data, and you want to use it in your map. So if I switch to the URL panel, you can see that I have multiple formats provided here from which you can select. And let's try WMS service. I think I've somewhere had data from Argentina here. So if we are talking about Argentina, why not use it? This one. So this service is provided by some organization or agency in Argentina, and it provides a lot of data sets. I don't understand most of them. You probably do. But if I look at it, this should be, as I understand it, some areas, protected areas or something like that. So let's say I'm interested in those, and I wanted to add it to the map. And if I click add to the map, and zoom to the layer, I should see the new layer in there. I can switch it off on, and this way I can compose the map. There is one last option, maybe the most interesting, because this option called file gives you the chance to publish your own data. So if you have your own shapefile, GeoJSON raster image, GPS file, or Google KML file, you can publish all of those here. Still, the most popular or common is S3 shapefile. So I'll try to demonstrate it on shapefile. If I select it, now I need to provide the needed files that will be uploaded. And I will select, example, those should be water bodies from whole Argentina, I guess. So you can see that I have this shapefile packed into the zip file. I can select the zip file, give the layer some name. Fill in some abstract that will be stored in the metadata. I need to select, because it's shapefile which is not easily readable, I need to select in which coordinate system it is stored. And most importantly, here I can select to which users I want to share the data. So you can see that we have distinguished read and write access rights. So you can say to which it will be available for reading, and which users will be available to or allowed to edit those data. If I simply click private, this data set will be, after publishing, it will be available only to me, only to myself. If I click public, it will be available to anyone, even without login. Or I can switch to per user, and I can select specific users to whom I want to share the data. And the last option is to add some symbology file. So I can even say how the data will be displayed in the map. Now I'll click add, and in a few seconds it should be added to the map. Yeah, if I switch off the protected areas, you can see that there is a new layer with water bodies. I hope it can be seen. So that's basically how you create your map, how you publish your data, and how you compose the map from those data. So let's say that now I'm comfortable with how the map looks, and I want to publish this map as a complex map. So not just a data set, but the whole map. So let me switch to this tool, and you can see that it's very similar to this tool or form where I've published single data set. Again, I will have to fill in the name of the map. Demo, for example. Again, I will have to fill in some abstract. I can fill in keywords that will be stored in the metadata. Thumbnail will be generated for the map. And again, I can set the permissions for the map. There is advanced option before I save the map, so I can either specify the correct extent for the map, or I can select which layers from the current map I want to include in the map. I want to include all of them, so I'll just click save, and you can see that the composition was quickly saved successfully. And if I switch back to the catalog of all the map composition this is my new composition I just created. And because I've published it as a composition, it should be visible to all of you. So that is how you publish your data, how to create your maps in the web application. So if you remind, I have shown you that you can do those tasks in web application or desktop application in QGIS. This was the web application. So now let's switch to QGIS. You can see that I've already prepared some data from San Juan province. Yesterday I've downloaded data of water courses and water bodies. I've also downloaded some data about landforms in Argentina that seemed interesting to me. And I also have a layer of all the provinces in Argentina here. So if you are working in QGIS or any other QGIS software in any other geographic information system, you will always start with creating your map project. I have already done that, so that is my map I want to publish. And similarly to the web application, I can either publish single layers, single data sets, or I can publish this whole map. If you want to publish a single layer or multiple layers at one time, you simply select this export layers tool. You select the layers you want to export or publish. Click export layer, and in a few seconds it should be done. You can see that first layer has been published. Now we are waiting for the second one. It's probably a bit bigger, so it takes some time. But basically that's all you need to publish your data. So now already this, yeah. So those two layers have been just published to the data catalog in the web portal. So if I would switch to the web application, I would see those two layers in there. And of course, I would be able to add those layers to the map. So that's how you easily publish your datasets here. If I want to publish not just dataset, but the whole map, I will open second form here, or second dialog. You can see that it's called current composition. And first of all, I need to create a new map or map composition. I can give it some name. I can give it some description or abstract. I can specify the default extent of the map. So we can, for example, select some of the layers from which the extent will be taken. And when I click create, it will create the map in the data catalog. So again, if I would switch to the web now, you would see composition or map composition, which is called San Juan there. As I set permissions in the web application, I can of course set permissions here. So let's do it for the map we have just created. It looks a bit different from the web application, but it does the same. So you can see that we distinguish read and write permissions. Currently, only myself has the permissions for both. And if I want to add some other user to those permissions, I can select it from the list, or I can simply leave it to everyone. And if I add it to the read permissions and save, it will mark the map position as public. So we have created a map, but we've made it public, but it's just still empty map. Now we need to select the layers which we want to include in the map. So we can simply check all the layers, or we can select only some of them. And if we click Save Changes, it stores those layers in the map. And if I switch back here, you can see that my new map is present here. So we can try to open it. And we should see the same as we have seen in QGIS. We should see the same in web application. There is one more option in QGIS compared to the web application, and that's export to QField. I haven't mentioned that recently we have implemented also the integration to QField application. You are probably not familiar with this one, but that's actually a native mobile application for maps. So it's very similar to QGIS, which you install on your computer, but QField is installed on your mobile phone. So if I would export this export this map to QField, you would be able to even open this map in your mobile phone at this point. Okay, so that was the first 3 steps. You have data, you publish data sets, you compose a map, and then I've promised that you can also create a web page with the map. You can see this icon of this little bird. That bird is actually called Wagtail, and the whole content management system is called after this bird. So with this icon, I can switch to the content management system administration. You can see that I already have some pages created. I have uploaded some images to the web. I've uploaded some documents. What I want to show you is how to create a page. So if I click on the pages here, I can add a new page. You can select from three basic types of pages. It can be form, so it can be, for example, contact form for your organization. It can be article for your blog, or it can be a general web page. I'll pick the last one. And first of all, I need to specify some title for the web page. And the next thing is I need to fill in some content, of course. So I'll create some basic layout for the web page, and I probably want to put some descriptive text for. So I've called the web page San Juan Watercourses. So I need some info about rivers in Argentina. So let's say that I'll use wiki here, and I can use some generator of text. It's just a demonstration. So I'll some generated text. On this wiki, there was a table of rivers, so I can, for example, insert a table. If I select it here, I can simply insert it to the web page. and at any time I can show how the web page will look. So if I click on the preview button, it will actually open the page, how it will look. So you can see that I have this description and I have this table here. But I have promised that we will add a map. So you can notice that one of the widgets I have available here is called HS Layers Map. Why HS Layers? It's because, as I said, all the map applications are based on this framework. So we can simply click on the widget. That's how it's added to the web page. Now we have to just specify some unique ID for it in the context of this web page, because there can be multiple pages on multiple maps on one. And the only other thing that I need to do is to select the map content. So we have previously created some map that was called San Juan, I guess. And when I click preview now, we should see a map inserted into the web page. So I guess that's all from the demonstration or the live demo. Let me switch back to the presentation. So to wrap up what we have seen, Hub4Everybody, as you could see, can seem to be a regular web portal that offers some content management, blogs, forums, but the main difference is that Hub4Everybody is mainly oriented on maps. So there are tools that are dedicated to maps or to geodata processing, if you don't have to necessarily see them as a user. You will most likely use the web client or desktop GIS software where we are offering a plugin for QGIS, as you have seen. You might want to search the metadata through our catalog, or use your data on your mobile phone via the QField app. Just to see a big picture of the system, I've put here this schema where you can see that again, those are the two clients: web mapping application framework, QGIS desktop plugin, and both of those are publishing geodata through some service, which is invisible to the user, but it's there and it's the most important part of the hub. And of course, you can again view and edit or search data that are stored in the publishing server. You can search those data and view them or display them in the map in web or desktop. And every data or each data that you publish to the service are automatically propagated to the metadata catalog as well. And the last part of the schema shows that through QGIS you can publish your maps to some QField cloud and watch them or display them on your mobile phone. As I said, all of our web map applications are based on something that is called HS Layers framework. That is an open source framework which is based on open layers. And it builds a complex user interface which can be easily extended with new tools. So for one user, the app can look different than for others. Of course, HS Layers offers some common GIS features like measuring, printing, legend, etc. But for us today, was the most important tools were those that had something to do with publishing or sharing geodata. As you can see on this screen, HSLers can also work with 3D data. We are using the Cesium platform for that. We have also seen the QGIS layman plugin, which allows you to do the very same as the web map, but it has some more flexibility as it's built on top of a complex GIS software. This is how the mobile application looks. So if I would be able to show you on the mobile phone, you would see such an application where you can see your maps and display it as it looks on the web. I want to say a few words about the content management because it's a crucial part of the system. As I've mentioned, it's based on the Vectel platform. Vectel is in fact a very widely used content management system, and it's used even by large organizations as Google or NASA. It's based on widely known Django platform. It has very simple and fast installation, and since it's completely coded in Python, it can be very easily extended based on the user's needs. We have already tried such extensions. The widget for the maps is one of them, and I have to say that it's really straightforward to extend this platform. And in a matter of days, you can develop most of the components that might be ever needed. There is also a very large community of developers, so there is a good chance that the feature you need has already been done by someone else. What I showed you today is the Hub4Everybody, which is deployed on our infrastructure. We call this infrastructureless project cloud. And this deployment of the portal is meant only for personal use for anyone. So you can simply register there. Simple registration is required, and all the tools are available to you. It's fair to say that this specific portal is still developing rapidly. So new features and fixes are applied on a daily basis, in fact. But what we can also offer to organizations is the option to deploy this portal in separate instance dedicated solely to the organization, and that could be either on our infrastructure or even on the infrastructure of the customer. We think that it's suitable for any kind of organization, from public institutions through schools, universities, etc. And for my very next slide, I wanted to mention that we are, of course, still working on the system. We are trying to make it better. The next steps in development will be to develop closer integration with systems like Grafana dashboards on SenseLog or SenseLog system, which Lukáš will be talking about shortly. SenseLog is a service for collecting sensor data, or Jupyter notebooks, and so on. So some ideas even can come from you. You'll be glad to discuss what's on your mind. You probably know all of those mentioned systems here, like Grafana or SenseLog you have heard about before, but you haven't heard about Map Whiteboard, I guess. It's this first one. That's another product of ours. We are preparing for public introduction. It's a tool for collaborative map creation and editing in real time. But I guess I'll leave the rest to Ronan. So thank you for your attention, and I don't know if it's a time for questions or discussion now. I would be glad to answer any questions.